If you guys are still playing FC24 and you want some cheap coins, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you do use my code Rema, it will give you a lovely 5% discount off your order. So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we have some 5-2-2-1 tactics inspired by Lord Gareth Southgate to help you out in FC24. Now just before we get into today's video guys, would appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, so it does really help me out with the YouTube search algorithm. Sub to the channel if you are new of course, so you never miss out on any videos, and don't forget to turn on those notifications. And yeah, with all that aside guys, let's get right into today's ratty tactics. Okay then guys, so starting off with the tactics for the defensive style, we pop this on balanced as it does give us the best control over our defense. When we want to press our opponent we can, and when you want to drop off and be more passive you can also do that. So I think balance gives you the best control, which the other settings don't give you. However, if you want to use pressure tactics because you're more comfortable doing that, then go right ahead. Now moving on to the defensive width guys, we have this on 35. Now the reason we do this is because it gives us a nice, narrow and also a compact defense to block out all those attacks through the middle. This is really nice as it makes it very difficult for our opponent to attack us right through the middle. We also have decent coverage of the wider areas in case an opponent goes down the wing, so they can't just rip us to shreds down there either. So this is really nice and balanced and I do recommend it. Moving on to the depth, you have a few different options on what you can use. A lot of people are using like 100 depth at the moment, where you get that automatic press from the AI. Basically marks every opponent, presses the ball a lot, automatically of course by the AI, and gives you a very high defensive line. So a lot of people are using this because the AI is crazy with these high rated cards. If this is too extreme for you but you still want that AI pressure, you can use 71 depth where the defensive line is just a little bit lower. Or if you're like me and you prefer a more manual defense because you like to have control, then anything below 71 is good. So I usually use 65 as we still have that high defensive line. We just have more control over when we press, and I think that's important. Now moving on to the build-up play guys, I highly recommend balanced as I believe it to be the most consistent and the most fluid when building up. When you use balanced guys, you can basically pick and choose between all of the defensive, all of the build-up types in the game. So for example, if you want to start off playing slow, you can, and then if you want to speed up and play a bit faster, you can also do that. You can also ping some long balls as well. So it lets you mix and match between all these when you want. I also think that AI is just the most reliable when you use balanced. I think these individual settings are pretty poor and they don't help you out. The only one you can make an argument for is long ball, and that is if you abuse them. But even so, you can still do them with balance, so I recommend that over them all. Now for the chance creation, direct passing is an absolute must in my opinion. When you use direct passing guys, essentially it's the only way to break through the park the bus defense. What happens when you're using direct passing is that your attackers will make runs, defenders follow the attackers making the run, and then once the defender has overcommitted to the run that the attacker has made, then the attacker then tracks back. So it creates space between that defender and that attacker, meaning you can cut back or pass across, which is why it's called cutback 24. Now moving on to the attacking width, you can pretty much use whatever you want. All you really need to know is the higher the width, the wider your attack, the lower the width, the more narrow your attack. So I'm using 65, which is quite wide, but you can just use whatever you're comfortable with. There's no specific number that you have to use for the width. Now for the players in the box, we have this on 7. This is so we can get quite a few players into that penalty area, but again, we don't overcommit to the point where if we lose out on possession, we're not always going to get counter-attack. So 7 works for me, but you can adjust this if you would like to, of course. And then for the corners and the free kicks guys, we have these both on 3. I find this to be nice and balanced, but again, if you want to adjust this to lower it or to higher it, then you can also do that, and that is absolutely fine. Now moving on to the player instructions for this 5-2-2-1. On the striker, we pop them on stay central and get in behind. Stay central is very important because we don't want them drifting out into those wider areas. We already have wing backs, we already have the wide forwards. We don't need this player in that position. What we do need them to do is stay in the middle so they can be that focal point and lead that attack. Harry Kane, take notes please. So yeah, stay central, and then we also have them on get in behind. Again, Harry Kane, please take some notes so that they'll actually make runs and stretch the defense. It also forces movements out of the player, because if you have them on mixed attack, you'll just, you know, have what Harry Kane does for England, which is not a fat lot, to be honest with you. He's a great player, he really is, but it just doesn't fit the system. So getting behind is the way to go. I'm just just messing with you guys. For the forwards, guys, we pop them on, come back on defense, and get into the box across. This makes it defend in a 5-4-1, which is a bit more compact and a bit more defensively stable than the 5-2-2-1 as is. So these wide forwards will come back to sit next to those two CDMs to make it a solid 5-4-1, which means it's going to be very difficult for our opponents to get down the wings. So come back on defense ensures that. And we also have them on get into the box across, so they do not hesitate in getting into that penalty area and helping us out. So these are the two best instructions for these forwards here. Now for the CDMs, whichever one is your more defensive minded midfielder of the two. In my case it's Bellingham. I think he's a bit better defensively. Not ideal, but you know, it still works. So on the more defensive minded player, pop them on stay back while attacking, cut passing lanes and cover centre. This is so that we have that balance in the midfield by keeping one of them back. It's very important to do this. You don't want them both overcommitting going forward. So stay back and then cut passing lanes, so he always looks to intercept those passes and break up the play. Again, this is a very important instruction. It's made even better if you have like an intercept plus play style, but it is not absolutely necessary. And then we also have them on cover center, so that they'll cover the middle as opposed to the wing, because like I said, guys, we have these wide forwards on comeback on defense, so they will automatically cover those wings, so we don't need this player to do that. We'll keep them defending that middle. Now for this right CDM, guys, we use more of a box-to-box style player, so somebody that will attack and defend and basically do a bit of everything. So on this player, we leave them on the default settings. This is so that they can do whatever they want, essentially, and they're not restricted to do one thing or another. So they will go forward, they will defend, they'll help you transition, that kind of thing. Really important to have one of the DMs to do this. And then we also, again, have them on cover center, so that they will cover that middle area as opposed to the wing, because again, we do not need them to cover that wider area. We've already got the fullbacks, we've already got the forwards coming back to cover those wider areas. Moving on to the wing backs, this is very important in this formation, because without the wing backs, it is a very narrow formation. It resembles a bit like the 4-3-2-1 in terms of the attack, just, you know, lacking one of the midfielders. So it's very narrow in the attack without these wing backs. So what we need to do to make this actually an attacking threat is pop these the wing backs, on join the attack and overlap. This is so these wing backs will actually go forward on the overlapping runs to give us that extra width. This is important because, like I said, it's very narrow. We need to stretch out the opponent when we are going forward. So this allows for this to happen, gives you the wider option, gives you more passing options, and makes it much better going forward, much more balanced, because you have some players in the narrow areas and other players in the wider areas. So this works really well. Join the attack and overlap. It's also not much of a defensive liability, because you also have at least 3 centre backs back at a time. So this also works out really nicely. So join the attack, overlap on these 2 wing backs. For these 3 centre backs, of course, we do not touch them. You know, we don't want to change that. And the same for the keeper, but you can do comes for crosses and sweeper keeper if you would like to. But yeah, guys, they are my tactics and instructions for the 5-2-2-1. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to drop it a thumbs up, as it does really help me out with the YouTube search algorithm. Also sub to the channel if you are new, so you never miss out on any videos, of course, and don't forget to turn on those notifications as well. And yeah, with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys.